Welcome back to this week's Educators Update for AI. And I'm trying something a bit different this week. Video is in, so despite needing a very bad haircut at the moment, I thought I'd do a video along with my podcast audio. So what's been happening in the last week? I've got my notes in front of me, so do excuse as I look up and down a little bit. So OpenAI has launched ChatGPT for teens. So this came out on the 18th of August, so that's like 5 days ago. The idea is creating a separate experience for teens 13 to 17 with stronger safety protections and additional parental controls. Teens are automatically placed into a teen experience where OpenAI estimates they're under 18 or when they state they're aged within those age groups. Systems specifically designed around learning, critical thinking and healthier AI use. I guess why this matters for schools. One, obviously, it's better safeguards. I'm not sure how that's going to work at home for students who are actually signing up for their own. But I guess in terms of data, and I say this is probably more of a US example because I haven't seen any news about this here in Australia. The idea of doing it, it's not really a positive thing it's doing. It's really just a marketing tool that they're actually using. Obviously, if they get all the teens to use OpenAI or ChatGPT going through, then essentially that's the one they're going to use when they become adults and pay for it. So once again, it's just marketing in one form or another. But at the same time, it does give them some sort of protection, some sort of a different environment than what's seen previously. So if anyone's ever used it in the next few weeks, drop us a line, let us know, tell me what it's about. Google, again, is expanding its AI for students and for teachers. So there is a Back to School 2026 update that was released on the 19th of August, also a couple of days ago. Increase the number of features in their educational products. So students can now create study notebooks, use diagnostic quizzes, identify knowledge gaps and generate personalised study plans, create practice quizzes, produce interactive visuals, explanations. Google is also adding teacher-controlled AI tools to Google Classroom. So I guess what it's going to do now, instead of the student is putting in generic what caused the French Revolution, the idea is the AI is going to understand more of its class materials and assignments and instructions, understand what the student's doing it. Now, this could be a really big thing, could be a good thing, because it moves from chatbot to classroom AI. But at the same time, like I said, you're bringing an external organisation in with all that information in there. The trick is, how do they scaffold it? How do they control it? And once again, anyone who's used it or has it implemented in the school, let me know. That would be fantastic. A company called Renaissance has launched an new AI system for connecting assessment, curriculum and instruction. So this was on the 20th of August, which is just a couple of days ago. Oh, it's been actually a busy week this week, hasn't it? They've announced Renaissance Intelligence. The idea is it's going to connect in those different aspects. And the AI uses, so at the core of it, the AI uses or provides to teachers recommendations about student needs and possible next steps in keeping the educators in control of the decisions. So the idea is moving for student data, AI interprets it, AI recommends, and then the teacher decides using teacher judgment, which is at the core of everything that we actually do. So this is a different use of AI. It's honestly where I see AI going anyway, along the way. The trick is, what tools and things are available? Are they going to be free tools? Are they going to be paid tools? So in terms of the data and things, it depends what information is getting put into it. It's a real opportunities to actually get information out based on what students are actually doing, as opposed to the observation we do in the classroom, the conversations we do, assessing the work that they do. If it's digitized, it can be assessed very quickly and getting back, though we know there's a big backward push against that at the moment. EdSurge reported on the 19th of August, looks like schools are actually paying more attention to the financial infrastructure costs of AI in education. This is an important thing. So we've got two aspects here. We've got the infrastructure costs, and there's a lot of debate around data centers and their role. We've had data centers for decades now. They're obviously getting a lot more publicity because of much larger data centers are actually getting built, and there's obviously issues around that with heat and therefore water usage, and apparently also noise or humming coming from these buildings are people nearby, which we've got a couple of big data centers here in Perth. I've never noticed that, but like I said, they're actually in commercial and industrial areas. They're not really in residential areas, so I'm not sure what's happening in other parts of the world. But I think the bigger question is actually cost. And with the reports coming in, the reality of the actual cost of producing the amount of AI or tokens that we're using, say on your $20 plan that you pay, is actually far more than $20. And as a result of that, these organizations are still pretty much running at a big loss. At some point, that's actually got to change. And you do hear of commercial organizations that are using tokens and credits, so never switch your credits on unless you've got lots of money, racking up $10,000 and $20,000 bills per month on the AI tokens up above their standard plan. So it's very important that when we start looking at AI costs, there's obviously the subscription costs. The infrastructure, which really aren't really borne by the end user, but obviously people may consider that from an ethical point of view. The training and storage, obviously that's in data centers, and the devices and the staff time. Though the promise of AI is going to reduce that staff time over the longer term and make them more productive, which I do agree that certainly does happen with that. Okay, the United States Department of Education has called for human-centered technology. So the idea is they want to really prioritize things like instructional value of the technology as opposed to recreational engagement. And I do agree with that. So some tools, there's got to be a purpose behind it, why you're actually going to use it in the classroom. But I'll leave it up to teachers to decide what that is, because that is what we do best. And much closer to Australian educators are facing a parallel technology backlash. And there's a big push now to get technology out of actually primary schools and screen time. My kids went through primary school. They didn't actually use it that much. They use it usually just in technology castle particular projects. So the context of what I've experienced and what happens in Australia, that's not really the case of, say, public schools. Private schools, they do have more devices. But once again, you're looking at the expertise of the primary school teacher to actually have that control, have those programs and use them appropriately. So I won't judge them on that. But we obviously know just putting them on iPads and nothing else is not good. And I don't know any teachers actually do that, because the core of that thing is writing and working things through on paper, working through books, developing those skills. And our teachers on the whole do a very good job on that. So obviously different contexts, that's something that people need to actually look into as well. And the last sort of thing, this Associated Press report this week that students are increasingly teaching students actually how AI goes wrong. In Charleston, South Carolina, educators deliberately demonstrated flawed AI-generated content to students. One example involved a world map containing nonsensical country names and labels. And the sort of thing comes from my Facebook, where it was in the student plan, I think it was in Alabama. It had made-up countries, made-up words. It obviously had a periodic table that wasn't correct. And I think maybe the people publishing the planner just didn't want to pay copyright. They decided to use AI and didn't actually check what it is. I saw another interesting article. I do a bit of TPT, and now there was an article about the slop that's coming through there, and they had this, I think you call them elementary school, we call them primary school, English, and it was completely wrong. And I think a lot of that generates from people using AI to make things in English language, the language they don't actually speak. And this is more for people, I guess I say third world countries, looking to make products very quickly and cheaply to try and sell to people in the West in terms of US dollars, because a couple of US dollars has a big impact on their local area in terms of spending power. As a result, they're just mass producing these resources and not actually just taking the care doing it. And a lot of them aren't even teachers. So once again, something to look at. AI needs to be checked. It is far better than it used to be, but at the same time, it's not perfect. So hopefully you enjoyed this tech update. There will be the video version of this on my YouTube. I'll chuck it in with that channel where I got Teachers AI Cafe, and we'll see how it goes. I think I might get a haircut this week as well. Till then, look after yourself. Keep up the good work.